Hey everyone, happy Thursday to you. This is Live Trading Thursday. My name is David Verbruggen. We got some good stuff to look at in the market. There's always good stuff to look at in the market, right? Especially if you've got the skills to trade in whichever direction. So we're going to be looking at that. Guys, as you know, go ahead and get your tickers. Any stocks you want to look at, trades that you're interested in, put those in the comment box. And I've said it before, but I'm just going to say it again too, that the more detail you give on the stocks or the trades that you want to look at, the better it is, right? The more information, the more analysis that I can help you with, right? If you just send me a ticker, okay, we'll look at that ticker. But if you send me a ticker, a specific strategy you were interested in, a management plan you're looking at, I can give you a lot more feedback and detail on, hey, this is what to look out for. This is what's looking really good. So it's just going to help you out better. So go ahead and get those tickers and whatever information you can into the comment box. Now, guys, keep in mind that all the examples in this live trading session should be viewed for educational purposes only and not taken as trading or investment advice. All right, fantastic. I see Doc is already loading up some a ticker in the comment box, so thank you very much for that. We're going to get to that as soon as we go over a quick market overview. I should probably share my screen for that. Let's try that. There we go. Looking at the overall market here, what do we see? Quick refresh. What do we see here? We see this downtrend, but within the downtrend, of course, what do we have? We have pullbacks, or in this case, pull ups, right? And so our last 4 days, pretty strong bullish rally within this bear market, or this downtrend, I should say. So even today, look at that gap up and then strong move up, coming up pretty close to this 50-day. Let me zoom in on that. This blue line, the 50-day EMA, that's pretty significant because the last time we were there, right here, that was some solid resistance. That's where we put in that nice little M pattern that followed through beautifully, right? So that 50-day was solid resistance just a few weeks ago. Also coming up close to this downtrending resistance line. Now, I'd put a little more stock in this 50-day due to the recent history than my downtrending resistance line. But if we did break that 50-day, I'd be looking at that line to see, is it going to go ahead and pivot there? So we'll have to see on that one. But this is a great opportunity, not to say, hey, I want to get bullish, because our emotions can definitely get the better of us, right? We see the market has raced up the last 3-4 days, and maybe we missed it, right? I know I did. I'll be honest with you. I have not been in bullish positions in the last 3-4 days. And if I'd loaded up on calls, that would have been fantastic. But did we know that it was going to race up the way that it did? No, we didn't know that. So we can't get down on ourselves for that. So our emotions can get the better of us, because we might think, man, I've missed it. I don't want to miss it. I'm going to get in. And then we get into some bullish positions, some calls, whatever. And that's right around the time when the market turns around. And then we get beat down on the other side, right? We want to avoid that. We don't want to chase the market, right? So, but we want to look at this and go, hey, there's a really good opportunity here. We just pointed out the 50-day used to be resistance, that was really strong resistance just a few weeks ago. And we're coming up really close to that 50-day again. We're literally just like 12 points off, guys, on the overall market, 12 points. So that could potentially be resistance again. And if we see that it is turning to resistance and it starts to bounce down, move down off there, we could be ripe for some bearish opportunities, including straight puts, which have the opportunity to make really good money really fast, right? So that's why I'm excited about this. I don't look at this and go, oh man, I missed it. I look at this and go, ooh, okay, there's some potential opportunity right around the horizon here. So I need to come up with a plan and start looking at things, right? And so we can do that in several different ways. If we've got time later today, we may look at setting up like a bearish screener within Charts by Troy Owen. But first of all, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Doc here, TBLA. Let's take a look at TBLA. I'm not familiar with this Taboola. Okay. TBLA. All right, so what do we got on here? we've got a chart that actually was uptrending pretty nicely. We could try and throw a line on here. Don't know if the line is going to work the greatest. That's probably the best line I could come up with there. But you know, the EMA is definitely very consistent here, right? Now it did break that. This big um, solid candlestick broke that, and we moved down below. Last few days pulling up a little bit, but what do we have here? We've got earnings coming up on the 8th before market open. See that? The 8th BMO before market open. So that's just that's next week sometime. What is that, Wednesday? So we'd only have a few days to be in this trade before we'd have to get out again. All right. So don't want to do anything with that right now. Now, another question would be is what's the pattern that you're seeing? Well, I see this uptrending pattern that was broken. I don't see a very solid, clear pattern since then, right? A couple other things to notice. The price is quite low, 3.75 or $3.75 here. So generally, very low dollar stocks like that are not going to have good options liquidity. Yeah, the liquidity is on the lower end of the yellow. So I'd stay away from the options there. Doesn't mean you can't trade the shares. And actually, there's already some built-in leverage with trading lower dollar stocks like this if you're just trading the shares. So that's something to keep an eye on too and be aware of. Let's say, for example, we got in at 375 and then let's say it went down to 325 and we stopped out. You might be thinking, well, that's only 50 cents a share. But let's run the math on that real quick. 50 cents a share divided by 375, that's a 13% drop. 13% drop only on the stock. That could be significant, right? So even if you just go down to the last pivot, say 335 or so, that's probably looking at just over a 10% drop right there. So a couple things to keep in mind there. But before we move on to the next one, a couple neat things we can look at. What if we wanted to just learn more about this, right? What if we wanted to learn more about what TBLA is? Couple things we could do. We could come to the compare tool right here. We could see, okay, they're interactive multimedia. That's the industry they're in. What are some other major companies that are within that same industry? We've got Google, we've got Meta, ATVI, and TES. So if we were trying to say, hey, let's look at some other stocks that you know, maybe I like that pattern, maybe I like that industry. What are some other stocks in that industry that I could consider because maybe this one isn't fitting everything I'm looking for? We can use this compare tool right here to easily get a good look at some other stocks in that industry. And there's a lot of information down here that you can also dissect if you really want to. There's performance data, dividend data, valuation, growth. I mean, it gets pretty in depth on some of the fundamental data there. Another thing I want to just show you real quick, but we're not going to spend much time on, is in the activity tab, you come here to AI analysis. You click on that. It'll take about 45 seconds or so to load up if it's the first time that stock is being pulled up for AI analysis. But then it's going to go ahead and give you a breakdown of information. So I'm sure Apple's already been pulled up. So let's do, yeah, there you go. So this is what that'll look like once it finally does load up and spit out the information. So if you don't know anything about that company, you just want to learn, hey, what are they? What's going on here? You can use this AI analysis tool, and it's going to put together for you just, hey, here's the company, here's what it does, here's some strengths and weaknesses, here's some fundamental data that's just put kind of in plain English, you know, text that you can actually read versus graphs and ratios that can be more challenging. Like, what do I do with this? Well, here we go. We're just going to boom. There's your strengths. There's your weaknesses of the company. Here's a summary, recommendation. I wouldn't say a recommendation to trade necessarily, but you know, just take that with a grain of salt right there. But and then other companies within that industry. So some really interesting things that have been added into charts recently, and I think TBLA was a good example of that because I had no idea what TBLA was. You know, now I know. Hey, it's multimedia, and we can learn so much more from it even. So fantastic. Thanks for that, Doc. All right, looking at a couple others here. FEIM. Let's take a look. Frequency Electronics. Also another one that I haven't heard of. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm gonna let you know right now. First thing that caught my eye was the chart just looked kind of choppy, kind of weird, right? Doesn't look like typical price action that we're used to seeing. So my initial thought then is, I wonder if this is a low liquidity stock. What's the average shares traded? What's the volume? What are we looking at volume wise? And I come here to the side, see the average volume is 23,000 shares a day. Now, for brand new, that may sound like, wow, that's a lot, 23,000 shares a day. It's not a lot. It's not. It's really not. We want to be looking for a minimum of 300,000 shares traded a day just for stock trades. For wanting to do options trades, I want a minimum of 1 million shares traded per day. We looked at Apple just a second ago. This is going to blow your mind then how much that is traded. The average volume is 54, 55 million shares traded a day. And that's at a stock price of $177 a share. You go to something like Ford, I think Ford's going to be over 100 mil. Oh, what's wrong with that? I thought they do get up above 100 million on their spikes. Their average is still 56 million. I thought with a lower dollar stock that they'd be higher on the volume there. But so anyway, back to FEIM. That's kind of honestly where my analysis stops, right? Because the average shares traded per day is so low. I don't want to get into something that I can't easily get out of, right? That's why volume is important. If I'm going to get in, I want to make sure I can get out when I'm ready to take my profit or when I need to take a stop loss. I don't want to have to pay extra to get out, right? So that's why volume is critically important. All right, let's take a look at ESOA. ESOA, Energy Services. Same thing here. Not quite as bad. The price action is actually a little bit better, and we could almost grab a decent. Oh, that didn't stick. Decent line right there. But I come back to the volume here, and again, just under 100,000 shares traded a day. I'm looking for that to be a bare minimum of 300,000 a day. So just due to that, even though the price action looks better, and we've got a nice uptrend in play here, even recently, was that Tuesday? Nice move up off the 20-day. In any other situation, that could be looked at as a buy signal. At this point, probably missed it, looking at some potential overhead resistance right there. But regardless, this is one where, due to the volume, I'm not wanting to play around with this. What are things we can do to find stocks with better volume? We can use the screener, right? And so we may go over that in just a second here, but want to check out Ivan's question here. Ivan's asking, what is your favorite stock trading strategy? Long positions we're going for. Patterns you like to see when you get in. That is a great question. Honestly, I don't trade stocks that often. I'm primarily trading options in credit spreads. Credit spreads are that is one of my favorite option strategies. I'll do them in several different ways, structure them in different ways. But there's a time and a place for everything as well, right? And lately, I've been starting to scale back. Why? We're expecting a baby any day now, right? And the last thing I want to do is have to try and manage trades during a stressful time like that. So I've been scaling back, but generally, my favorite strategy is the credit spread. So that's a great question, Ivan. Perfect. All right. Now, I mentioned, guys, we had a good discussion here on volume, and I mentioned the screener a couple times. I want to real quickly dive in. This isn't going to be extensive. It's going to be going pretty fast on this, but I'm going to give you something afterwards so that you can dive into this a little bit deeper here. For those of you who've been on several times, you've probably seen the screener already, but I'm going to come here to the Find tab, click on Screener, and I want to just create a new screener right here at the top left. And it's going to bring up a bunch of data. I can go 3 levels deep on way too much data if I want. But I don't need to click on all of these, right? These are all different fields that, wow, they've added a lot more actually. Guys, I don't even know what half these are, you know? Interesting. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in here that we just don't need to necessarily worry about. We can keep it simple with just going 1 level deep. That's fine. But here's when I create a screener, here's what I do. I want to, of course, be able to define price. I want to define if it's optionable and the optionable type. Are we just dealing with monthly options or weekly options too, right? What's the score? And that score that we're talking about is those 4 colors, the red, green, yellow, for fundamentals, insiders, valuation, technicals. I want to be able to define the score. Let's go with current price. Some of this will make sense in a second here. EMA, I'll do 10-day and 50-day, and then volume. We talked about volume a lot. Actually, where's the average volume? There you go, 30-day average volume. That's my favorite. I like the 30-day average volume. One last thing I want to come down to, I like to come down to here, the options. I want the liquidity. I want to be able to pick how liquid on a scale of 0 to 100 am I going to be accepting these. So we're going to apply that criteria, and it's going to drop it in on the left here. So now I have to go in here and actually define what is it exactly that I'm looking for. So let's say I don't want to deal with any stocks that are less than, let's go less than $5, and up to, well, we'll just leave it at 529,000. That's going to be BRK, Berkshire Hathaway, but they don't really have good options. So optionable, yes, I do want that. So we're going to leave that. Second one, option type. Want to add stocks with weekly options. Why not? Let's just do that to where they have to have weekly options as well. Now, we talked at the beginning about we're in this downtrend, but we've pulled up, right? So if we're in a downtrend, do I care if the fundamentals are bad? No, actually, I'd love that. I would love for the fundamentals to be absolutely terrible if I want to get into a bearish position. So let's leave all the red boxes here. Maybe we can do something like this. Let's take off the green. Hey, if you've got good fundamentals, or let's do this. If your valuation's good, your insider's good, even let's just get rid of all the green boxes. If you have good, if you have any green boxes there, I don't even want to look at you because I'm interested in stocks moving down if I'm going to trade with the overall market, right? So we can look at that. Next thing, current price. Let's set that. So this is going to be a current price in relation to, we're going to do an EMA, right? So I'll do 50-day and below. So I want a current price that is below the 50-day EMA, right? And now the 10-day, I want to make sure that the 10-day is below the 21-day. And the 50-day is below the 100-day. So what we're doing is we're setting up an inverted moving averages, right? That's showing a downtrend. 30-day average volume. So Doc, this is a good one for you here because we were talking about that volume quite a bit. How do I quickly just get rid of all the ones that just have trash volume, right? Here's what we can do. I like to just type in 1M, so 1 million. So now looking at all the stocks we're going to look at are going to have at least 1 million shares traded on average. Last one here, liquidity. I personally like to put it's either 75 or 80. We'll go with 80 today. Just want to make sure I have some solid liquidity in those options. Now I can run this search. I can save it too if I wanted to. So I could save it, name it something. You can edit it later if you wanted to add things in. So I can run this search. Now it's going to bring up all the stocks. We just went from 12,000 stocks to 43 down to 43 that meet the criteria that we have specified in here. And now I can take this whole list and I can add it to a watch list if I wanted to. I'd have to have that watch list already created, or I can just bring it to research. If I take it to research, I can look at it on the chart next to it and look at that. Just like that, AA, that's already a pretty nice downtrend that is pulled up here, right? It's pulled up, and it could be, it hasn't bounced down yet, but the overall market hasn't yet either. But if it does start to bounce down, I mean, that 20-day here has been acting as some resistance, right? And we're right up at that 20-day. So this would immediately be one I put on a maybe another watch list of like, hey, I'm watching this one closely every day to see, is it ready to trade? AI. I don't know if that's artificial intelligence AI. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know anything about this company. Again, I could go compare. I could do the AI analysis tool to look at it more. But I'm seeing it's got, even though it follows all the criteria, I still need to use my eye to diagnose what is it that we're actually looking at here. AA was a nice downtrend. AI not so much. Looks like it found some support there. So probably going to kick that one out, right? Get rid of that one. ALB, this one definitely has been coming down. Just had earnings yesterday. But I'd be wanting to see this thing move up before I'd be interested in trading that. Just because I want to see it move up and then bounce down, right? So probably could get rid of that one. Boeing, a little bit of a pullback there. I wonder if that's going to start to roll down. See, guys, you see how the pattern, how this goes, kind of the flow. BABA, ooh, look at that one. Look at that. Earnings a little tight in there, but potentially could get something in beforehand. It's right at this downtrend resistance line that I'd already drawn. Now, that's not much of a move down. Let's zoom in on that guy. All reds, by the way, kind of cool. See, it's sitting right there on the 20. Now, if that breaks the 20 and starts to move down, that could be an entry to the downside right there. That one potentially could happen even today, right? So that's kind of how I do this, right? And I'm not going to go through all 43 here, but you kind of see the point. You see how we do that. So very quickly there, we were able to just create a screener and find some charts that are, they're potentially imminently tradable today or this week or early next week, right? We're definitely not going to want to take 43 positions, but if you see that, hey, I might go through that and I'm left with 20% of that list of, hey, these are trades that could be looked at very soon. That's like 8 to 10, potential trades, right? And then if you end up taking only half of them, well, there you go. You're a trader, right? You're trading now. That's what we want to do. We want to find the best trades. So with that, let me go ahead and leave you with a couple things, guys, because I know I went through that pretty quickly with the screener. We have a bunch of trainings on Charts by Tradeway within YouTube, including a screener specific training. There's like on the what I just dropped there in the comment box, the link, there's, I think, 32 videos now, ranging anywhere from 90 seconds to 90 minutes, so check that out. We've got screener training, scans training, several different items within the platform, and then just full-blown hour-and-a-half long trainings that go through all kinds of things, right? So good information there to check that out, to use the platform better, to save yourself time, to find the best trades. That's what it's all about, right? So if you don't have Charts by Tradeway yet, I know I shared this with you last week, but go ahead and check it out, chartsbytradeway.com. You can simply subscribe a la carte and start playing around with the platform. So with that, guys, I'm going to leave you guys, and I hope to see you next week, but we'll see. It might be me, it might be someone else, just depends on our babies. So with that, we'll see you guys whenever I see you next. Thanks, guys.